Okay, joining us now, Cynthia Dunbar. Cynthia is a candidate for Congress, 6th District, Republican. This is the receipt of the retiring Robert Goodlatte in Virginia. Bob Goodlatte retiring. He's the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. That term expires. He says he's had enough. He's not running. And so Cynthia Dunbar, who was the state committee woman in Virginia, the Republican state committee woman, is running. And there are 6 people in that race. 3, in my mind, are viable. Cynthia Dunbar, House of Delegates member Ben Cline, who was with us yesterday, and clerk of one of the courts in the district, Chaz Haywood. And I've got Cynthia Dunbar as the favorite. This is going to be decided in a convention in, I guess, May, is it? And it'll be at James Madison University in Harrisonburg. Same town, by the way, and same convention building where Cynthia Dunbar pulled a massive upset in defeating Suzanne Obenshain for state committee woman in Virginia. And she's with us now. Cynthia, good to have you with us.
Thanks, John. It's good to be here. Same town, same convention center, and actually lots of things to clarify that were erroneous from yesterday's interview, but same place where I won the 6th District in 2016 as well.
Okay, so let's start with that. Yesterday, Ben Cline was on, and I said that you're a convention beast. I was there because I didn't like the convention. I didn't like what Cuccinelli did in going back on her deal and stealing the delegates and threatening the convention. But that's yesterday's news. Let's talk about you. At that convention, Ben Cline said that Suzanne Obenshain carried the 6th District. True or false?
That's false. I mean, the thing is, part of the reason that I am the front runner in this is because I actually have my finger on the pulse of the 6th District. I've actually become the voice of the people. The people of the district have been under oppression for decades now, and they have thrown off tyranny. In 2016 at their own 6th District congressional district meeting, they took over control. The people of the 6th District took over control. They strongly controlled the committee. They were elected by the people of the 6th District, and they are the ones who voted 20-10 that they wanted a fair and transparent process. Because I'm like you, John. I know you talk about the unfairness of the process. I agree. Anything that's unfair takes away the voice of the people, and I've never been complicit in that. That's why the people of the 6th District love me, and I did carry the 6th District.
All right, so you carried the 6th District. Now let's get to the attempted hijacking of the rules by the committee members of the 6th District Committee. Normally when you have a convention, okay, and I don't like them, everybody knows that, so we're not going to debate that. But when you have a convention, you're looking for the consensus candidates. So you have a number of ballots, bottom people get eliminated, and you're looking for somebody to get 50% plus one. So you got to get your people to stay. They've got to be motivated. But then you're looking to come out of there with a consensus. So in a meeting, apparently from what I've heard, your supporters said, no, we're going to change that, and we're just going to make it a one-ballot plurality. So you got 6 people in that race. Technically, Cynthia, somebody could win the nomination technically with about 18 or 19%, far from a consensus on the first ballot. Now, obviously, this favors the Dunbar campaign. Why is this something that makes any sense? Why wouldn't you just go through the ballots, and if you got the votes and you can get the consensus on the third or second or ballot, whatever it is, you're going to get the 50% and win. Why screw with the rules?
Okay, so first of all, there's so many things wrong with that statement, John, and you're going to love me pointing this out because, like you said, you don't like fake news, you don't like illogical arguments, and you don't like things being twisted. And that's being done with that narrative that you were fed yesterday. So just to clarify, one, there's no switching or changing the rules. The rules actually aren't set until the committee votes and establishes the process. And so there's no rules that are being changed. There's no rules being hijacked. Second of all, I would love to say that it's my people who controlled the narrative, but if we agree with that, then that means 20 of the 30 elected people who serve on the committee of the 6th District that were elected by the people are, quote-unquote, my people. And if that's the case, the others might as well pack up and go home because I've clearly already won this race. And the other thing is, as far as the process, I am a true constitutional purist. I'm a true conservative Republican. I really believe in the Republican creed, and I really believe in our Constitution. So let's just go through the process. And it's very logical and it's very clear, and your listeners will understand this, and they will make sure that they know that the person and the people that want fairness and transparency is actually my campaign. And this is the reason why. One, the reason conservatives want a convention is twofold. One, the Republican creed says that we like limited government, we like small taxation, we don't want the government getting involved in areas that they shouldn't. Why in the world should the government ever be involved in taking taxpayer dollars for the internal intra-party nominating process? Now, I know that blows your primary preference out of the water. I'm sorry about that, but it just happens to be what it is.
Yeah, we're not. Look, Cynthia, we're not. Cynthia, we're not here to debate.
The Constitution gives us. Let me finish, John. The Constitution does not give us our First Amendment rights. Those are rights we possess as people, and the government has no control over it. And that includes our freedom of speech, and it includes our freedom of assembly, rights of association. That is an intra-party process. None of the nominating processes ever require majority. They're all plurality. So if you're worried about weak candidates coming out, then you can't support any of the other processes. And there's nothing that requires the convention to be different than all the other nominating processes. They can have a plurality as well. And the reason they've chosen plurality in this, the people have said, is they want to make sure it's a fair process. They don't want a former Bob Goodlatte chief of staff colluding with a former Bob Goodlatte legislative aide coming in and making a backroom deal so that they can game the system and steal the voice of the people. That was what they were afraid of. And the fact that everybody is crying and having such a fit on the back end is actually proof that that probably was the deal that was being made.
All right, so we're not here to debate a convention, all right? I've had too many of those debates, and we're never going to agree on it. I mean, everybody's got their preferred nominating things. I prefer a primary so everybody can participate and you can get the voting records, and I think it's a better process. But we're not here to debate that. You're going to have a convention in the 6th District because that's what your leaders want. I don't understand why you would change it from a consensus to
John,
a plurality.
You keep saying changing it, and that's actually a false narrative. They didn't change it. There is nothing in the rules that lock it in a majority vote. It's actually up to the people to decide what the nominating process is. Just like they get to choose convention, they get to choose the location, they get to choose the date, and they get to choose whether the process is going to be majority or plurality. And they chose plurality for the very basic fact that they want to make sure there are no backroom deals. There are no games made. And I listened to the interview yesterday. It's interesting that that publicly came out 20-10 saying, we want plurality and we're giving you 5 months ahead for all the people to know what the process is. What was being argued is, no, that's not fair. What should be done is do a backroom deal at the last minute in the 11th hour at the convention east so nobody has any advanced knowledge of what's going on. What sounds fair to you, John?
Well, because, I mean, you have a precedent of conventions going to multiple ballots until you have somebody has 50% plus one. But look. Okay,
and I agree with precedent, but this is the thing. James Madison said that we should take alarm at the first experiment of our liberties because error steeped in precedent leads to tyranny, and those who submit to it become its slaves. Just because it's a precedent doesn't mean it's the right thing, and it doesn't mean that people are locked into it, that they can't change the rules when they feel like they need to. But what's even more beautiful about this is they didn't change the rules. The committee came forward and said, we have a clean slate. We get to pick our process. And you know what? We've been under oppression for too long. We're not going to allow that foot to be on our neck one more time. We have an opportunity to take back our district, and we're going to make sure that the process is fair and transparent. And nobody can say that plurality games the system. It doesn't. So the only argument they're using is weak candidate, and that's bogus. I mean, I'm never going to say President Trump went into that convention with 44.9%. He didn't have 50%. I would never call him a weak candidate, and I don't think you would either.
Yeah, we got screwed at that convention, so you're not going to bring that up because they went back on their deal, and Cuccinelli went in there and went back on his word. I don't want to get into that, Cynthia. Cynthia, I don't want to get into that. It's yesterday's news. I want to move forward.
Donald Trump.
I don't want to get into that, please.
For him, as soon as he got the nomination,
I don't want to get into that.
Nobody else. You can Google it and see me.
I don't want to get into that, Cynthia. It's just a bad memory for me. It made me sick. It was one of the worst experiences I had. When I got
fact.
out of that convention in Harrisonburg,
This is the very
I don't want to relive that.
Let's use that convention.
Let's not relitigate
this is the
that.
very reason the people are sick and tired of the establishment swamp controlling things to take the voice away from the people. That makes you sick. That makes me sick. That makes all your listeners sick.
All I know is
the very reason
I don't want to relitigate
Harrisonburg. We're not going to do it.
I don't want to relitigate the Harrisonburg heist. I got home. I took a shower. I couldn't wait to get the hell out of that place. It was like gross. Anyway, that's yesterday's news. Let's move forward, okay? So let me just ask you this straight out. Do you agree, then, that the rules that were made of having a first ballot victory, regardless of what the percentage is, do you agree that that favors Cynthia Dunbar?
No, there's absolutely no way you can argue that favors me unless you also want to concede that I am the favorite of the people of the 6th District. Because all a plurality vote does is make a level playing field where you can't have backroom deals, where people in factions are trying to say, well, I'll trade off, and if I fall off first, then you get this. A fair, straight up and down vote makes sure that whoever the winner is the winner. So there's no argument of unfairness. The only argument you can possibly make is the feckless argument that you're going to come out with a weak candidate. But there's no way you can make that argument with a straight face unless you want to say that the 3 top runners are weak candidates. When you made the allegation that maybe you could come out hypothetically with 18%, there's no way you can actually take that seriously, because what you're saying is, oh, Cynthia Dunbar could get 18%, which what that means, John, is you're also conceding that Bob Goodlatte's former chief of staff and Bob Goodlatte's former legislative aide, Ben Klein and Chaz Hayward, got less than 18%. So you're not going to make that argument, and all of your listeners are smart enough to know that that's a ridiculous argument. This is a lot of people crying foul, because the truth is they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar trying to make a backroom deal because they were afraid to go toe-to-toe with me. And the reason they're afraid is because I am the voice of the people of the 6th District. The people are tired of career politicians going up there and doing nothing. I have already stated I am only going to serve if elected 3 terms, and then I'm coming home. Every single nominating process, the committee gets to decide what the process is. I am never going to take control of that as an incumbent. And the people love me because I believe what they believe. So, no, it's not unfair. The only reason they're scared of it is because they know that my message resonates with the people of the 6th District.
So, Cynthia, let me ask you this. So what they're telling me, what other people are telling me, is that it's, at the end of the day, it's not really up to those that are in leadership in the 6th District, that the rules for the nomination process would have to get voted on the floor of the delegates that are present. True or false?
You know, I'm a total stickler for the rules. And if you read the party plan, because it is an inter-party nomination, the party gives the authority for the rules to 2 people. 1, the 6th District Committee, and 2, if those rules aren't made, they fall over to the Rules Committee. So right now there are rules established. Can those rules be overturned? Can those rules be pulled back at the convention? Is there a process for that? Yes. Can the committee make additional rules that the 6th District Committee hasn't made? Yes. But all of that is something that will be argued out on the floor of the convention. So the real goal is trying to make sure that the delegation is as large as it could be. And that's another thing nobody's talking about. The committee also voted to allow as many delegates, more than in the history based on the weight of vote that a convention has ever allowed. So they're not trying to do the swamp thing of, keep it small, control it all. They're actually trying to allow the populace of the 6th District to get in there and vote. And I welcome as many delegates to that convention so the people's voice is heard.
Right, but you're still going to follow the standard rules where you got to sign up, be a delegate, put your paperwork in, right? You just can't show up like it's a mass meeting, right?
And the good thing about that is it keeps Democrats from voting in our nominating process. So there's a vetting process. And yes, you do have to sign up. But I encourage people to do that. I mean, we're trying to get as many delegates as we possibly can to be there and let their voice be heard.
So basically, this could be all for naught, because those that attend the convention, whatever the date is, when is it, May? something?
It's May 19th in Harrisonburg at the JMU Convention Center.
So the delegates get there, and if the Klein people don't like the plurality and they want to go to a 50+1 convention consensus, they can attempt to change the rules on the floor. Either the delegates are going to want to do that or not. And if they say, look, I just want to get the hell home, one ballot, I'm gone, it's not going to carry. And if they don't want to do that, and they believe that it should be a 50%+1 consensus, then it's going to be up to the delegates there, right?
Yeah, and I have no problem with that because I have every anticipation of getting more than 50% as far as the support. The only thing this has done has outed them. If there's this whole goal to try to divide and conquer and do some backroom game of, look, I'll fall off and I'll send my support to you, and all the things they do in gaming the system, which you and I both hate. We like fairness in the process, and the people are sick of these internal swamp games. And that's why the people of the 6 voted for plurality. So yes, we're not afraid of a fair process in our campaign. We just want to make sure that it is fair.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate, Cynthia, the explanation. You're the favorite going in. There's no question about it. I've seen your operation at a convention, and I've told everybody I wouldn't take it lightly. I know you're going to get a lot of people there, but I like your answer at the end. I mean, if you get 50% that want to make it a plurality, it's going to be a plurality, and then the people have spoken. It's everybody's job to get the delegates there, and I hope we can continue this dialogue because I think it's been very helpful. I appreciate your coming on today, and I got to put the Harrisonburg, the heist of 2016 behind me because it just conjures up so many bad memories with that thing when I was on the air there as part of the Trump
make
team.
Sure everybody knows when you're referring to the Harrisonburg heist, you're not talking about my victory for National Committeewoman, because I did nothing.
No, you beat her fair and
square.
square. No, absolutely not. You beat Suzanne Obenshain fair and square. And I remember I backed Obenshain, as you know, in that race, and I was not shy about it. And I remember I told him, I went there on Thursday. I did my show from Mark's office 2 days, and I told him at dinner Thursday night they were at risk, and they just didn't see it. And you beat them in their hometown, which was unprecedented victory. I have to go, Cynthia.
It's because of right now where people are.
I got to go.
It's why we have the representation we do in the White House, is because people are tired of the same old, same old.
What's your website?
My website is dunbarforcongress.com.
Thank you.
All spelled out. Dunbar, FOR, Congress.com.